everyone, it's Maki here. Do you like robots that swing around big swords? Gundam Barbados, Crossbone Gundam X3, and Zeta Gundam with its beam saber are all captivating, aren't they? Not just limited to the Gundam series, robots wielding huge swords have always been objects of admiration throughout the ages. Today, I'm going to introduce one of the forms of the Impulse Gundam, the Sword Impulse Gundam. It's a model completed when the Impulse Gundam equips the sword silhouette and adjusts its variable phase shift armor to specific parameters. It's a powerful Gundam that moves swiftly while holding huge swords in both hands. Now, let's dive into the details of the Sword Impulse Gundam. The Impulse Gundam was born from a plan to develop a mobile suit with optimal combat capability under the Junius Treaty agreed upon between the Earth Alliance and Soft Forces. The aim for this mobile suit was to minimize the number of units needed by incorporating multiple functionalities into a single mobile suit in a situation where the use of nuclear engines was restricted. This aim was achieved by adopting a module changing mechanism. The sword silhouette of the Impulse Gundam was developed to secure an advantage in close-quarters combat. When equipped with the sword silhouette, the variable phase shift armor turns red, transforming it into the Sword Impulse Gundam form. The Strike Gundam, which achieved legendary results in the previous war, was greatly valued even by Zaft. It's only natural they wanted the combat capabilities of the Sword Strike, which defeated his pilots like Miguel Aymon Marco Morosim and Nicola Amalfi. While the Sword Impulse is color scheme, and the two large swords it wields are strikingly similar to the Sword Calamity Gundam, their relationship remains unclear. However, the Sword Calamity Gundam was piloted by Earth Alliance's pilot Edward Harrelson and was covered by journalist Jess Rubble. It wouldn't be surprising if Zaft's elite staff, who would analyze every mobile suit combat, knew about the Sword Calamity. Nevertheless, there is no official information stating that the Sword Impulse was based on the Sword Calamity. Naturally, the Sword Impulse excels in close-quarters combat. However, there are several differences from the Sword Strike, which it references. Firstly, the additional equipment, the silhouette system, is concentrated on the backpack. While the Sword Strike's equipment is mounted on its shoulder, making module changes slightly complex, the Sword Impulse swiftly responds to situations by only changing its back silhouette. No replacement is needed for its standard shield, and there is no wire anchor equipped. The reason for this change is unclear, but it might have been deemed unnecessary by Zaft's developers, especially since Gates' modern retrofit discarded the external Arrester wire anchor. Next, the Sword Impulse can use a beam rifle as standard equipment. Although the Sword Strike Gundam might technically use a beam rifle, it never did so in the story, likely due to energy consumption issues. With the Impulse Gundam, it's often explained that improvements in battery technology provided more energy. This made it possible to use a beam rifle, which was previously difficult to combine with melee equipment. The ability to use a beam rifle, an upgrade from Freedom Gundam's Lupus beam rifle, is indeed remarkable. In the storyline, it shot down Wolf's Murasame in a single strike. Being a melee-focused mobile suit, while also possessing a weapon that can destroy state-of-the-art mobile suits in one shot, is a significant advantage. Another major advantage is its flight capability. Although it's rarely depicted in the TV anime, the Sword Impulse can engage in aerial combat. This capability is briefly showcased when dodging missiles in a battle against the old fleet, and during aerial combat using a beam boomerang against the Murasame. This flying ability is evident when it destroys several warships. While it can't fly at the speeds of the Force Impulse, the Sword Impulse is still a formidable aerial combatant. Unfortunately, this feature is often omitted in games. The beam boonsangs on the sword silhouette also function as wing stabilizers. The color of the variable phase shift armor changes to red. This color allows for robust strength at a higher energy consumption rate and effectively defends against approaching enemies in the TV anime. Even when it faced point-blank firing, after boarding a warship it remained undamaged compared to the frequently beam-firing Force Impulse or the heavily armed Blast Impulse. The Sword Impulse, which has a lower energy consumption due to its weaponry, doesn't have a significantly reduced combat time even when using a robust phase shift armor. The Deuterium beam transmission system's ability to instantly replenish energy is also a significant advantage. With all these strengths combined, the Sword Impulse was undoubtedly the Gundam with the most formidable close-quarters combat capability of its time. Let's delve into the armaments of Sword Impulse. Of course, Impulse Gundam's standard weapons like the Vulcan Cannon and Beam Rifle are available. Although the knife is technically usable, it didn't have a prominent role. This may be because there was no scenario where Shin lost all of his armaments. Perhaps the knife was intentionally left and used to portray that under Gilbert Giano's plan, everything was proceeding as expected. However, this is just my personal opinion. First up is the AOQM-60 Flashet Beam Boomerang. This weapon is an upgraded version of the Basso Beam Boomerang used by Justice Gundam, the Beam Boonsangs of Sword Strike, and Justice used a mechanism that interfered with space to control their trajectory. However, the flash edge is controlled in the same way as the Dragoon system via quantum communication. Given the background that the Genius Treaty prohibited the use of mirage-colored particles in beam sabers, leading to the creation of Force Impulse's Bakra Beam Saber, the flash edge might have been developed to circumvent this restriction. Yet, the real reasons behind the Genius Treaty's restrictions on beam sabers and mirage-colored particles remain unclear due to various interpretations. Furthermore, beam boonsangs are potent weapons capable of damaging targets with defense mechanisms against beam weaponry through sheer physical force. Their effectiveness against targets with phase shift armor is a significant advantage. Just as Gundam's Beam Boomerang managed to damage the Geschmack Panzer shield of Forbidden Gundam, the weapon was particularly effective against a shield that neutralizes physical bullets and deflects beam weapons. In Sea Destiny, a scene depicted Sword Impulse's boomerang hitting a high defense shield against Freedom Gundam's beam weaponry, making it lose balance. At that moment, it was Force Impulse in action, showcasing the power of the beam boomerang. Moreover, although not depicted in the TV anime, it's possible to connect two beam boonsangs to use them as a larger boomerang. While it won't cut using the beam blade, the combined form can deliver enhanced physical impact. There's more to it. Holding the beam boomerang and activating the beam blade allows it to function as a beam saber. This mode is rarely used, but its agility makes it effective against multiple mobile suits. It's unclear how the flash edge is retrieved by Impulse after being thrown. It's uncertain whether Impulse manually attaches it to its bag, or if it automatically reconvenes. The beam boomerang of the previous Justice Gundam was depicted as returning automatically. The Dragon system enhanced flashlight might also have a feature that allows it to reconnect to the main body without manual intervention. Although the TV anime didn't focus much on the Dragon system, Sword Impulse might be capable of simultaneously handling all 4 beam braids. Now, the main attraction, the MMI 710 Excalibur Laser Anti-Ship Sword. 2 of these are equipped on the sword silhouette, and they are roughly the same height as Impulse. This weapon bears a strong resemblance to the SWAT gear used by Sword Strike and Sword Calamity. Technically, it's directly connected to the laser heavy slash sword of the CQD forms. The features of the SWAT gear, like producing a blade from the hilt or using it as a beam gun, aren't incorporated. Excalibur has features adopted from the ambidextrous halberd used by Freedom Gundam and Justice Gundam. When connected, it can be used as a weapon with an extensive attack range. Harnessing Sword Impulse's power, it can be swung single-handedly, showcasing clear enhancements when compared to Sword Strike. This weapon was notably used by Force Impulse in its combat against Freedom Gundam. In the novel, it's explained that the beam section burns through an enemy's armor, and the physical blade destroys it. While weapons named anti-ship swords have appeared since Gundam Seed, Sword Impulse was the first to depict its use to destroy a battleship. It showcased the capability to swiftly destroy a ship's armor and accurately target crucial sections, like the bridge. Given its immense destructive power, it's also potent against mobile suits. Many enemy mobile suits have been split in half and defeated. The beam blade makes it effective against machines equipped with phase shift armor. It was the sword silhouette that was used in the combat against the 3 Stolen Gundams. And it was the Excalibur that played a crucial role in defeating Destroy Gundam. Indeed, its performance truly lived up to the name of the legendary sword. Sword Impulse's achievements are deeply memorable. In the TV anime, the first equipment it wore was the sword silhouette. The first enemies Sword Impulse faced were 3 Stolen Gundams. It was a harsh situation having to battle high-performance machines developed around the same time. But even then, Shin was an ace pilot in a red uniform, and though mainly trained, he had more experience than Kiro Yamato. His initial attack was a continuous assault, using the ambidextrous halberd mode. Utilizing a spin, he executes 2 slashes with a single swing, and against the evading Gaia Gundam, he performs a counter-spin attack, executing 2 more attacks. In an instant, he launched 4 attacks. The Gaia Gundam defended with its shield, but was sent flying. The depiction showcased the immense defensive power of a Gundam's shield. As a test pilot, Shin, who was familiar with the combat capabilities of the 3 Gundams, put up a good fight against the Gaia Gundam. He actually defended against the Gaia Gundam's beam cannon attack after a sharp turn, using his shield. At this point, Sword Impulse had its back turned to the enemy. Sword Impulse immediately hurled Excalibur like a boomerang. It was a unique attack, different from the weapon's intended use, but it hit the Gaia Gundam. Unfortunately, it was defended, but by this time Shin had already landed 2 attacks on his opponent. Arthur Klein, who was observing Shin's combat, instructed the mission is to capture. Given the number of Saft's mobile suits that had been defeated by the time Impulse was deployed, It was a challenging command. One can't help but feel sympathy for Shin. With the support of Aspran's piloted Zaku warrior, Shin was able to survive the battle. To chase the Gundams trying to flee outside the colony, the Impulse Gundam switched to the Force silhouette. Thus, Sword Impulse's first battle came to an end. Then, the battle on Earth. During the combat with Zamazar, Shin awakened to the Seed ability. After defeating the Zamazar with Force Impulse, he switched to Sword Impulse. By this time, he had already requested the deployment of the Sword silhouette even before defeating Zamazar. It became clear that he was thinking of exploiting the enemy's surprise at seeing their trump card Zamazar being defeated right in front of them. Upon switching to Sword Impulse, Shin started to obliterate the enemy warships. Here, Shin destroyed 6 ships. Even in the preceding battle, he had defeated many mobile suits. The scene transitions partway, so the exact number is unclear, but he had already taken down at least 5, not to mention the Zamazar. In fact, these achievements surpass those of Laura Crete. Crete, before the start of the Gundam Seed narrative, had defeated 37 mobile armors and 6 warships in the Ulcer offensive. One must remember that at the time of this battle, mobile suits were virtually unknown weapons for the Earth Alliance. It was said that it took the force of 5 of the Earth Alliance's mobile armors to match a single Zoxian. Shin faced the Earth Alliance's cutting-edge mobile suit, the Winam. And the Zamazar was a formidable foe that pushed Impulse Gundam to its limits. Though we, the viewers, have witnessed the feats of Freedom Gundam and Justice Gundam, Shin and Sword Impulse's performance in this battle was an event of historical significance. The stunned expressions of many characters witnessing Sword Impulse's battle are evidence of this. As the story progresses, the pilot changes to Lunamaria. Sword Impulse's turn comes in the Heaven's Base offensive to defeat the Destroy Gundam. After switching from Force Impulse to Sword Impulse, Lunamaria hands one Excalibur to the Legend Gundam piloted by Ray. This scene also showcased the silhouette system being used to transport weaponry. Lunamaria approaches the immensely powerful Destroy Gundam without hesitation and launches her attack using the beam boomerang and Excalibur. This scene depicts the strengths of Lunamaria's abilities. The image of her defeating the embodiment of destruction, the Destroy Gundam, and boosting the morale of her comrades is fitting for the title of a Night King. Just as the sacred sword Excalibur was active alongside King Arthur, the anti-ship sword Excalibur fought alongside Sword Impulse. Did you grasp the appeal of the Sword Impulse? There is no denying that Gundams excelling in hand-to-hand combat look cool. The fact that it's equipped with twice the weapons of the Sword Strike, which was prominent in the previous work, is also visually straightforward and a fun aspect. In the games, the Excalibur is often used by the Force Impulse, but this point might be up for debate. In the TV anime, the Force Impulse uses the Excalibur only in a charging manner towards its opponent. Whether it's possible for the Force Impulse to use it as effortlessly with one hand, just like the Sword Impulse, is questionable. Of course, this is merely my personal opinion. If we consider that the Sword Impulse's phase shift armor gives it the strength to swing heavy objects around effortlessly, then the portrayal of the Force Impulse freely swinging the Excalibur might seem a bit unnatural. If the Force Impulse can use the Excalibur without any strain, then the very existence of the sword impulse might be undermined. What do you think? Please share your opinion in the comments if you'd like. Lastly, I'd like you to sortie with the Sword Impulse Gundam. Your target is a battleship. Please destroy it with the anti-ship sword. Press the subscribe button to sortie towards the Earth's Alliance fleet. By pressing the like button, you can also sortie towards the Orb fleet. If you hit the bell button, you can even sortie towards the Destroy Gundam. Dominate the battlefield with the brilliance of the Excalibur. I believe you can achieve it.